Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, we're about to do a series overview of The Acolyte. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I was doing it episode by episode. However, y'all know I had kind of checked out a little bit with this show, so I started watching it. Maybe I was binging a little bit. I'd wait like 2 or 3 episodes to play, and then I'd binge that and watch that. So that has how my watching has gone. So, but go back and watch the reviews that I've done. I also did a question. Like, I had some questions about the Acolyte and was wanting to make sure that those questions were answered. So what I want to do is go over my thoughts about it and how it ended, and let you know my thoughts about the whole series. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Please hit that thumbs up button. It helps with my engagement. You should subscribe. Please support the channel. You can support the channel by hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing. If you like to support this channel monetarily, you see the stuff going down at the bottom. You can support the Cash App. You can support being a member. Um, and you can do a super chat if I was doing lives. All right. So let me just talk about it. We're going to make this really brief. I don't want this to go over 15 minutes, honestly. So overall, about the Acolyte, as far as the Disney Plus series, it wasn't the worst. I still think that the Tales of Boba Fett was the worst series. It was the slowest. It took a Mandalorian. It took the Mandalorian to come in to give some hype to that that show. He wasn't the center of his own show. I think that you understand if you've seen any of the things that I've done in regards to Boba Fett, you'll know that I thought that the Boba Fett series is at the bottom. This one is second to the bottom. I'm just going to be real. I think the Mandalorian is the highest for me. After the Mandalorian, oh, it's after the Mandalorian. It just switches, just depending on what's going on in my head at that time between Andor, and Ahsoka. It's just depending on when things. I do like what is it, Tales of the Jedi? So that's in there too. So it just depends. But I know that this one, and it just depends. I could come back here 3 months from now, and this one will be at the bottom, just depending on what's going on. I am looking forward to Ahsoka coming back. I am looking forward to Mandalorian coming back. So I'm looking for those shows to come back so that I can review it. So the overall, the Acolyte tells the story of Osha and her involvement in a series of assassinations of the Jedi. And so you have the Jedi going back and forth trying to keep these assassinations on the low, and all of these little different things from different entities, from the city Senate, from the High Council, from all of this stuff like this. Okay, so this is basically what we see. We see what the Acolyte. We're trying to understand exactly what the Acolyte is, and to me, basically, the Acolyte is a Force wielder who is not trained by the Jedi. That's what it comes across to me, that this is a Force wielder that is not trained by the Jedi, or receive a majority of their training from the Jedi. Because we see that May was trained by Khmer. We see that she was trained by Khmer, who called himself a Sith. He said he did one of those Kang things. You might call me a Sith, but we really weren't even clear if he was a Sith or was he a an apprentice. We don't know because it wasn't really made clear. So as it goes on, we see the first episode, we lose the first of the four of the Jedi that are being assassinated. And in the first one that's assassinated, May is everyone thinks it's OSHA because everyone believes at that time that May had died. So we have what is her name? Carrie Ann Master Indara is killed first. May kills Master Indara. The lone two people who survived the bar fight. Well, they did. They were the last two people in there. Identified OSHA as the person that killed Master Indara. Okay, so we saw all of that, and then we kept seeing all of these little different things, all these little different scenes. Um, we get Master Torben is killed. Well, he prunes himself from the timeline by drinking the the, the concoction that May gave him. We see that Kelnaka is killed, and Kelnaka is killed by Kamir because we find out that Kamir is the person that has been training May. May is being trained by Kamir. So all of that to say, we see all of this and we see this story brewing. Now, I will tell you, the people on the interwebs were, having fits because some of the information they're like, it's not, they're really tarnishing Star Wars because Luke Skywalker is supposed to have been the chosen one made by the midichlorians, and here we have these two twins that are doing all of this and all this other stuff, and it's just tarnishing. They're just retconning everything. Everything is going to hell in a handbasket with Star Wars. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just breathe. Now, from what I understand, Darth Plagueis was the one that was credited about life and figuring out how to manipulate the midichlorians to create life and things like that. So that's nothing that came off the top of his head. He had to have found, or he had to have uh, understood it came from somewhere. And so uh we see that all the witches and stuff like that died. They understood and they knew the power because of the fact that if you are a force wielder, the Jedi was making very sure that if you are a force sensitive child, that they were going to be the ones to train you because they believe that training you in the Jedi way was the only way that you should be going into the force. Um, they had eradicated the Sith, or so they believed 1,000 years ago. So with the rule of two, what Jedi really is going to come across a Sith? Nobody. Who is going to come across a Sith? Because apparently, the one thing that I can tell you about a Sith, and even looking at old Palpy, aka Palpatine, they know how to hide in plain sight. And I'm quite sure that Darth Plagueis was hiding in plain sight. I don't know exactly what he did. I'm making the assumption, was he a scientist or something like that? Because I am quite sure that this Sith was hiding in plain sight. Somebody looked at him and saw him. He just wasn't in the shadows, just sculling around. Someone saw him. Someone saw him, but they couldn't recognize if he was force sensitive or not. I don't know, because of the fact that if Palpatine can walk around here from Naboo and no one knew that he was a Sith. I'm quite sure that any of the Darths that went before Plagueis and going back upwards, I'm thinking that there were times that they hid themselves from the Jedi. But the Jedi was making sure that they were taking children, and they wanted to make sure that they had them babies from when they were little itty bitty bitty. Now, if you watch the Tales of the Jedi and how they got Ahsoka, I think one of the things that I had mentioned, I was like, these kids are really, really young, and these people are very, very passive to give over their children. Because I think if you look at this in the real world and everybody's like, oh, well, that's how it's supposed to, but just because that's how it happens doesn't mean that it's right. The very first thing that I thought about when the Jedi were getting children and everything like that, and I know people are like, you're just hating on the Jedi. No, there's just some things that are odd, and there's nothing wrong with calling that out. The Jedi is an institution, so there was just some things that are odd. Why couldn't you train an 8-year-old? You mean you have no skills in your Jedi temple to be able to train an 8-year-old? You that worried about attachments? That's a little odd. And to feel like you have and I know that all those children, but to feel like, oh, well, I should be able to to do what I want. That's odd. That is odd. And the one thing that I wish the Acolyte series would have kind of talked about, or well, I wish they would have also stayed in the political realm, what was going on, because that was important. Seeing this senator come out at the last minute talking about his concerns about the Jedi and things like that, I'm just like, no, I really wish we would have seen this senator earlier than what we saw. I think we should have continually to see this senator, that this senator is understanding that there's some rumblings and things going on in the Jedi Order. And those would have been bigger stakes, for me. I really would have loved to have known that there was like a sect of senators and things like that that were distrustful of the Jedi, because we see what happens at the end. We see that Order 66 comes about. We already know what the fate of the Jedi. It would have been nice to be able to see this turn, and the Jedi again being so caught up in being political cronies and things like that. It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to see the Jedi point of view of who they believe that they are, and then the regular people to see who they believe that the Jedi are. Because we see this with this, even with this group of force wielding witches. They, if these people were using the force, the Jedi did not appreciate that at all. And so if they had any force wielding children, they wanted to be able to get those children and then eradicate those children's ties to their parents and stuff like that. So that was interesting to me. I really wish we had seen a little bit more of the political back and forth. I really wish we would have had somebody from the High Council coming in trying to figure out, okay, because I'm quite sure, don't do they not keep a tally of dead Jedi's? I'm quite sure that there's a tally, like, okay, we just sent four Jedi to Brindok, and now we're seeing those four Jedi be killed. We just sent 8 or 9 Jedi back to Brindok, and now those 8 or 9 are back or killed. We're trying to figure out what's going on. No one in the highest council thought that it was important that you have lost in a span of 2 to 3 months about 10 to 12 Jedi. Didn't make any sense to me. Also, what didn't make sense to me, OSHA and May. I really wish that the writing would have allowed for us to see uh more emotion from OSHA, because at the end she was able to turn to the dark side and bleed a Kyber's crystal. But we should have seen this descent in OSHA throughout this whole series. As she went to be thing, we should have seen this descent. Everything we saw, OSHA was very her emotions were metered. There were very we didn't see like little, there always should have been little cracks in between there. There should always would have been cracks that we could have seen her descent was going down into the dark side. There should have been cracks and things like that. Like there should have been something that I really wish all of these Jedi didn't die as quickly as they did. I really wish, like, if Master Indara, or for whatever in it, would have been mortally wounded, and then she would have seen OSHA, and then she would have said something. So that would have then, even if she would have said, "I am sorry, my child," or something, we should have started seeing OSHA question everything. She just didn't question everything. Then all of a sudden she snaps and she goes to the dark side. That made no kind of sense to me. We should have seen her descent. We should have been able to see May uh be very steadfast about why she's doing what she's doing, trying to explain to OSHA, and OSHA listening just a tad. She just seems like an odd character because we couldn't judge or feel or anything like that of there. And I blame the writing for that. I do blame the writing for that, because you have this character that you didn't flesh out at all. She was just very stagnant, very one dimensional. And we weren't able to see all of these things that I think that an acolyte should have done. We should have seen May go from uh, uh, being a staunch, like she did, and then she softened up a little bit because she sees her sister and she wants to have a relationship. I think we should have seen an opportunity, excuse me. We should have had an opportunity for May and OSHA to have gotten together. And that goes back to the writing and being able to consolidate some of this stuff. Because, like I said, for what we had, this could have just been a two-part, I would say a three-part movie, like a TV series or something like that. This actually could have been three parts, and you could have consolidated all of this stuff into thing. I would have added some of the political strife. I would have added Kimar, whoever his master was, that he would be talking to his master uh telepathically or whatever. We should have been able to hear or see of those different types of things, and this should have been like 3 episodes. I think that this could have been taken in 3 episodes. I think that whole episodes of that flashback from OSHA's point of view was unnecessary. I think if you were going to have it from any points of view, you should have had that episode split into three. And we should have seen the points of views from the Jedi. We should have seen the points of view from OSHA, and we should have seen the points of view from Meg. And all the scenes would be, from their points of view and how they saw what happened. We should have seen all of that, and that could have been an episode itself. And then you could have spent more time with May kidnapping Osha, taking Osha someplace, having a conversation with her, or having them go back to Brindok and them having a conversation and going back over what they wanted, and you seeing Osha do some things or hear some things in this even if it would have been a chase scene, a fight scene, or something like that. They're going through different things, but they're trying to see their relationship and see the things from the point of view. I also wish, which was confusing to me, because when May went through that ceremony and her mother put that little sign on her head, are we saying that all the information about her being a force wielding witch was in this yin and yang tattoo that she had on her head? So did May have all of the knowledge and things of the witches already stored in her head? Is that what they placed on her head? Because I think that that would have been so much juicier. That would have been meatier. That would have a little bit more meat on it. So at the end of all of this, Osha finds out that Saul was the person that killed her mother. That Saul was the cause of it all. It was Saul all along. So he was the cause of all of this. And so she gets upset and she force chokes him and all of this other stuff. So I'm not going over episode. But my overall feeling is this. I enjoyed the concept of this series. I enjoyed learning about. I wish we would have spent more time. They would have talked about virgins. I wish they would have spent more time that people were investigating this. And, with Saul dying, it just kind of died away. But Vanessa going to talk to Yoda about the stuff. So it would give me an understanding that Yoda knew something was going on. But since he didn't have, uh, since he was told that Saul was the one that killed everybody, you can kind of see why he wouldn't have believed about the Sith and all this other stuff. And she probably mentioned at the same time that, my former student who I thought was dead, he was the one that was the catalyst for a lot of things. I don't think that she told him that he was I don't know what she told him. I don't know if there's going to be a second season or not. But that for me would make me understand when we go to the prequels why they didn't know anything about the Sith and everything like that, is because I don't think Vanessa told anybody but Yoda. And I think Yoda was the one that was taking care of it, everything. He put it all on his little back. So I don't know. But I will just tell you this. If we talk about out of 5 stars, what do I give this series? So out of 5 stars, I'm going to give it a 2. I'm going to give it a 2. And I'm giving it a 2 because I think this felt like it was rushed into production. They rushed this. They had this idea and they rushed it. When to me, this should have been something that they had taken a little more time with, could have gotten a more meatier story, should have talked about the stakes for the galaxy and everything. I also think that we could have gone to different planets and different things. I even think that some of this could have happened on Coruscant. I'm just saying it just I just feel like this show was rushed. And I also hate the fact that because that there are a class of Star Wars fans that are homophobic, xenophobic, and all this other stuff, they placed all of that above just taking the story in. And so there's a lot of people that took the story in, and they gleaned pretty much what I gleaned. That I think that the writing didn't, we didn't get to feel the stakes of OSHA. We didn't really get to feel the stakes of May. We just understood that there were some, but there was no emoting of what those stakes and things were in this thing. I really do wish the Jedi, I really wish that that Corbin would have been the only one that they couldn't, that he just would have never woken up out of his slumber, so she never could get to him. I really wish that that would have happened. He made sure that he was very impenetrable, and I wish that at the end he would have been able to say something to somebody, and then he just would have just passed away from just freedom from the guilt that he was feeling from what happened on Brindok. I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Just tell me down below. What did you all think about the Acolyte? What out of 5 stars? How many did you give them? Did you like the show? Did you not like the show? Tell me what it is. But if you're going to talk about this show, I want you to take out your xenophobia. I want you to take out your homophobia. I want all those phobias out of the way, and tell me what you thought about the plot. Tell me what you thought about the writing. Tell me what you thought about the stakes. Tell me what you thought about the characters. Do you think the characters were necessary? Do you think they should have been fleshed out more? I think that OSHA should have been. I think we should have seen a lot more of OSHA than just her trying to be this good uh faux Jedi. I don't know. I just think that I think we should have seen some. I would have loved to have seen her to have some depression about the fact that her dream was to be a Jedi and she washed out, and her having issues about that. I would have loved to seen her get into bar fights just because she could get into a bar fight. That would have been great. That OSHA would have been in the bar, but you wouldn't have been able to see what she looked like, and she was in the bar, and she was like the last face, it just all those things would have been, it just would have been, I think it could have been just a little bit better than that. We could have seen a lot of things. I do wish that Master Indara would have lived. I think I wish he would have lived and been able to say, "Hey, we thought that this girl was dead. We need to go back to Brindok and we need to go look for some stuff." And then she would have met her demise, and then she would have tried to warn Kelnaka that they were coming. She just died too quick for me. She just really truly died too quick for me. I didn't talk about him, but I'm gonna be very quick about Saul. He was too whiny for me. And he had this level of self-righteousness that he thought he was doing the right thing when you knew. You were so quick to want to be able to save this girl because you've grown up believing that the Jedi should be the only one will be force wielded and stuff like that. You were so busy trying to prove that these girls were created by a virgin that you caused all this issue and problem. All of this stuff was you caused all of this stuff, and then you don't think that you're gonna have any consequences behind it. I really do wish that OSHA didn't kill you. I really she just made you stop talking forever. That you couldn't communicate no longer with your voice. I don't think she should have choked you to death. I just think that she should have stopped you from communicating ever. And I think that if what's his name, because that would have been great. Uh, uh, don't kill him. Keep him from communicating, and then wipe his mind that he doesn't know anything about being a Jedi anymore. That would have been that would have been a better demise. I think he got off too good about with them just force choking him and stuff like that. She still would have had that. She still could have bled that crystal in that way. So anyway, all right, y'all. I'm through with this. I'm through with this. I don't know if they're going to have a second season or not, but they probably will, because they'll probably think that all the vitriol and all this other stuff that's coming from the fandom means that everybody is encouraged to want to see a second season. So if the only way that a second season will come is that if they get uh some writers that can flesh out these characters so that we can see these characters and flesh out these characters a little bit more, because Star Wars is known for fleshing out great characters, and this doesn't make any sense. All right, We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye bye.